Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I spent the last 3 hours actually heads down doing some client work. Then I'm like, what the hell am I going to talk about on this podcast in this episode? I could talk about what I'm doing with the client, but that's more, I guess, commercial and confident. So while my head's just so in that space, I actually asked ChatGPT, hey, give me 10 episode titles. And I'm not going to actually pick one and talk about it. I'm going to share what it gave me in terms of what it suggested for the 10 episode titles. And then I might riff on them like for 30 seconds or so as well. So the first one was the anti-topic episode. Share the topics you won't ever talk about on your show and why. That's a really interesting one. I haven't really thought about topics that I won't explore. I do want to keep it kind of helpful for you, the listener. I know a lot of the time I'm just sharing some stories and some insights and what I've learned, and maybe that isn't applicable for you, but I really want this to be something that is, I guess, more related to self-development, business development as well. But on the other hand, I might use story inspirations from current affairs and other things to then relate a point. Number 2, the 2-drink test. Revisit your 2-drink concept. What one dream or idea have you had lately that passes the 2-drink test, and how could listeners apply it to their own bold moves? I love that it pulled this out. The 2-drink thing is, it's kind of like a joke where I say that after 2 drinks, you kind of realize what you actually want, because after 2 drinks, I'm talking about alcohol here, and that's why I don't really want to do an episode about it, but you don't filter yourself as much. You actually say what you want to say, and you find that you dream bigger. And yeah, I just think it's a really good litmus test for figuring out what you want. So I often joke about doing coaching conversations or having coaching calls after drinks, because that's where the real gold is. 3, your Everest base camp training metaphors. Use something from your training, weighted vest, stairs, etc. as a metaphor for business visibility and work fame. I think I've been doing a lot of this. I've been sharing a lot of the Everest stories, so I want to kind of bypass that one. Number 4, work fame mini story. Pick one moment from this week when you saw someone be work famous. It could be a client, someone at an event, or even Chris tinkering with his Trans Am. It's not part of his work, but I love that it picked that up. And unpack it. Well, actually, interestingly, one of the webinars that I'm running tomorrow, I'm actually looking for people within their business to jump up and like share a bit of a topic. And so I've been seeing some characters within this team put their hand up, and yeah, so that's, I guess, some nice demonstration of work fame. 5, B-roll moments. Talk about your idea of B-roll. This is the stuff that I was talking to Petra Zink about. I've done a whole episode about it. When you are trying to think about what makes you or your business unique, actually just start filming everything, like your life, because that's the B-roll. We tend to think that we have to be unique, we have to do all these things, but actually how you operate is uniqueness in itself. So just film those everyday moments. A lot of the time my Instagram stories are B-roll stories. It's like I'm out walking, I'm sharing a photo of a sunrise, sharing photos of my dogs, that type of thing. 6, a tiny reframe. Share one phrase or question you used this week with a client that shifted the whole conversation, those small reframes that pack a punch. I don't know if I've had one of those this week. Definitely last week when someone asked me about how she needed all this clarity before she started. And I was like, yeah, clarity is overrated. But you've heard that on the show a million times, so that's not a huge one. 7, the worst advice you've heard this month. Tell a quick story of some cringy advice you've come across, why it's misleading, and what you'd suggest instead. I'm going to park that one. I do want to do an episode about it, but nothing comes to mind at the moment. Number 8, clarity is overrated. A micro example. Share a recent time you acted before you had clarity and how it turned out. Give listeners permission to do the same. I'm working on this proposal, and I feel like I'm at the hesitation station. The unfortunate thing with AI is like I could probably write this thing and have it done within like an hour or 2, but because there's this endless loop of improving it and you can use AI to brainstorm and create more and more, I find that sometimes it's taking longer. I don't know if you're finding the same thing. So I have to just tell myself to stop. It is what it is. Success, not perfection, and just remind myself of that. Number 9, calendar Tetris check-in. How did you play calendar Tetris this week? Share a win and a lesson from how you arranged your time and energy. I'm really grateful that I've had today no meetings. Very rare for a Tuesday. Tuesdays usually chock-a-block. But I think after last week, I had just a huge week of speaking and events. I'm really grateful for blocking this time out. So I'm just doing a lot of, I guess, a little bit of recovery, but a lot of thinking, a lot of stuff that I've been neglecting. Also, Alan and I were going to do a talk the walk this Friday, but I reached out and said, look, I actually have a bit on. Can we postpone a couple of weeks? So we're live streaming next on the 11th of September, his 5 p.m, 12th of September, my 7 a.m. So it's one example of something that I've had to push. I didn't have to, but I thought I've got to also do just fit in chunks of exercise. So it's just a lot to do this week. A question from the field. Grab a listener or a client question like the one about book writing you did yesterday and just riff on it Q&A style. Open invitation to you. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the show, just send me an email, hello@leannehughes.com, message me on LinkedIn or Instagram as well. Oh, that was quite good. Interestingly, maybe you can even ask ChatGPT that question yourself. Say, hey, if I was to record 10 podcast episodes, what would I do them on? It gives you some ideas. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.